Hunter Biden, James Biden, others, they've been subpoenaed by the House. And we'll talk to Jim here in a second about exactly what that means. But you should know they're going to have to go testify in front of the House. This does matter. The president's a criminal, and the evidence is going to be laid out there, and people are going to have to give testimony. That's a good thing. We're going to talk about the election yesterday. The good, there was a lot of it. The bad, there was a ton of that as well. We will talk about all these things. But Jim Jordan needs to address the subpoenas and this election integrity partnership, because it sounds so nice, doesn't it? The election integrity partnership, only it's extremely evil, and it's the federal government declaring war on you. And now I'm going to shut up, and we're going to go talk to Jim about it. Joining me now, Congressman Jim Jordan, the big cheese, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. And Congressman, I don't even know if we can fit all this in the 10 minutes we have, but let's see. We have subpoenas for people named Biden today. Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, James Biden, Hunter Biden, and frankly, Jess, we want to talk, and I think is Rob Walker, one of his business partners, and we want to talk to a lot of other folks as well. I want to talk to this Kevin Morris, the guy that just, Shazam, out of the blue comes along and says, I'll pay your $2 million or whatever it was tax liability, pays his taxes. I want to talk to that guy. I want to talk to people who bought his art. So I think Chairman Comer is got a number of folks that will ultimately be on this list as we get moving in. And our committee is going to help now do some of these depositions, because we do 5 or 6 depositions a week. So we're going to help with some of these as we move through this to get to the facts in our impeachment inquiry just as quick as we can.
Congressman, can you explain to those of us who don't understand, and I'm mainly pointing to myself, but I'm going to act like it's everyone else. Do these people have to comply? They do, right? When you tell Hunter Biden, here's a subpoena, he needs to show up or he goes to jail. That's how this works, right?
Yeah, you can hold him in contempt. And courts particularly, it's one of the advantages of being in an impeachment inquiry phase of our oversight is courts have traditionally looked, if they take us to court, for example, say, no, we got to go to court. The courts have looked at, well, this is a power totally exclusive to the House of Representatives, the impeachment power. Maybe next, second only to the declaration of war, probably the most important power we have. So they look at that as like, okay, if the House needs to talk to this individual as part of an impeachment inquiry, then you got to show up. So we feel good about our chances of talking to all these folks. We even had yesterday sort of the unprecedented situation where a special counsel came and talked to us, David Weiss, who's the U.S. attorney and now special counsel in the Hunter Biden investigation. That's never happened before, but because of the nature of our investigation, he was in and answered questions about a specific area of his responsibility.
I am going to ask the question, understanding that you probably cannot answer the question, but David Weiss is a major concern for people who are paying attention. He was investigating, only looked like he was aiding Hunter Biden with his investigation, tried to get him some sweetheart immunity deal that blows up in his face because of a judge, and then he promptly gets appointed special counsel to investigate him. So what's the deal with this guy? Is this guy in trouble? I hope this guy's in trouble.
Yeah, it's hard. And plus, it's a 5-year investigation. The one thing we got from yesterday, which frankly we've got from every witness, we've now deposed 7 witnesses who were part of the investigative team into the Hunter Biden investigation. And the one thing that has been consistent throughout is the testimony of the whistleblowers, Mr. Shapley and Mr. Ziegler, the IRS whistleblowers, has stood up. It has been rock solid. No one can refute what those individuals, brave individuals, came forward and told us. Same thing happened yesterday when we talked to Mr. Weiss. And the big takeaway was, if you remember, and I'll do this quickly, this summer, Mr. Weiss wrote Congress 3 letters. He wrote 2 to me, June 7th and June 30th. June 7th, he says, I have ultimate authority to determine when, where, and whether to bring charges. June 30th, 23 days later, he writes me a second letter and says, well, actually, I don't. My authority is limited to my U.S. Attorney's District in Delaware. Well, it can't be both. You can't have ultimate authority and then say, no, it's just limited, and then still maintain somehow you're the guy in charge of making all the decisions. He further then writes on July 10th to Senator Graham and says, I have not sought special attorney status. I have had discussions with the Department of Justice. Yesterday, when he was asked directly, did you ever request special attorney status? He said yes, in the spring of 2022. So he asked for it, was never given that, only received special counsel status when he asked for it this August. So he told us something in those letters that was not accurate. And we learned yesterday that he had sought this and wasn't given it by the Justice Department, which again is directly confirming what Mr. Shapley said took place during this investigation. So we're going to continue to dig into this. We got two other people we want to talk to who are part of the investigation, two of the attorneys, and of course the top assistant U.S. attorney, Leslie Wolf, who ran, frankly, most of the investigation into Hunter Biden.
Good grief, what a mess. All right, we have to move on. I'm sad we do, but we have too much to get to. What in the world is the Election Integrity Partnership? Because that sounds really nice. It sounds like they're protecting our elections. I'm all for it. What were they doing?
Yeah, just like the Disinformation Governance Board had this nice sound to it, but engaged in basically the same kind of activity. So here we knew that big government worked with big tech to limit our speech. We had that from the Twitter files and the Facebook files and other things we've learned, and of course the big court decision we got in the Fifth Circuit. But now we know it was big government, big academia, and big tech all working under this entity they created, the Election Integrity Project at Stanford University, all working to suppress speech, and it was disproportionately, go figure, disproportionately targeting conservatives. President Trump, it was Molly Hemingway, it was Mike Huckabee, and Candace Owens. I'm sure you were probably on the list too somewhere, Jesse. It was going all targeting conservatives and conservative networks like Newsmax and others. Sean Hannity was targeted, for goodness sake. So this censorship industrial complex is just that. It is a big thing. Big government using our money funneled through universities where they created this election integrity project. And then they had this software program where they would display, we think this post should be taken down. And everyone could see it. Oh, yeah, we think this should be filtered. We think this reach should be limited on this particular tweet. I mean, total attacks on First Amendment free speech rights.
Tell me about Elvis Chan, this FBI special agent who's on camera bragging about his coordination with social media companies to make sure, of course, the election was fortified. And look, it's not a small deal, obviously, as you well know, Congressman. An FBI agent, especially a special agent, has incredible powers. And if he's using those powers to run cover for the president, run cover for Democrats and hurt Republicans, that's honestly one of the worst crimes imaginable in my mind.
Yeah, we've been trying to get him in for his deposition, and we're having a fight with the Department of Justice. We're going to continue to pursue that. We think he will ultimately be in for an interview. Remember, Elvis Chan was the key guy meeting with big tech in the run-up to the 2020 election, and he was the guy who pre-bunked the whole laptop story. He said repeatedly that we expect a hack and leak operation. We expect it to happen in October of 2020, and we think it's likely to involve Hunter Biden. Well, how could he know that? How could he predict the future? Well, he could know that and can predict the future because the FBI had the laptop. They had it all that time. And he's telling this to big tech. And then when it suddenly shows up, they're already kind of pre-programmed to think, oh, this is a hack and leak operation. And of course, they did what so many people on the left wanted to happen. They suppressed that entire story and kept it from we the people just 2 weeks before the most important election we have, which is the election of the President of the United States. So, yeah, we need to talk to Mr. Chan because he was part of that effort, which got further used with the 51 former intel officials. We exposed that all earlier this Congress, what they were up to in furthering that false narrative about the laptop. So we look forward to talking to Mr. Chan. We think that's going to happen real soon.